Welcome to Season 2, Episode 20 of the BBL Show, the place for all British Basketball League-related news. I am Jay Marriott. He is Drew Lasker. What a week to cover in the league. Wow. How are you, Mr. Lasker?
I mean, geez. Milestones, drama, and then, the coach's voice, as I hear the roughness in your voice, it seemed like you coached your butt off tonight. Congratulations, sir, getting that dub on the board. How does that feel?
Yeah, thank you very much. No, it's good. Yeah, sorry for all the listeners. My voice has gone a little bit. I did get a little energetic, but it was a great game. And look, if you can beat a Nottingham Wildcats, you'd be delighted, right? They're such a great franchise, good ambassador for the league, and they're just good people as well. Like the two games we had, we lost to them in the cup last weekend. We beat them this weekend. Just great conversations with the coach afterwards. Just great to do battle with each other and those kind of conversations. So it was good. But sorry guys, I'll be a little, but. Here we go. Let's jump in. Today's episode, we are with the General, the Jedi, Mr. MVP, Leicester Riders, Geno Crandall, looking ahead to next weekend's epic cup final. We bring it back, as always, to the Lasker Look Back, Player of the Week, Hot Topics, and Buy or Sell. But first, it's your social media spy. It's the Marriott Minute. Where do I start? I guess we go with an end of an era in the London Lions as they part ways with a legend of British basketball, their head coach, Vince McCauley. Here at the show, we salute you, coach, and all you have done for the game. We move over to Mr. Kieran Achara. He was finally able to pick up his MBE, looking sharp in his kilt, and a very proud man, and so he should be. Congratulations to our friend on the show. Sheffield Sharks and Sky Sports. It's Mike Tuck, baby. Writes himself in the history books, becoming the all-time leading scorer in Sharks history. A game later than we expected him to achieve this here on the show, but a phenomenal achievement nonetheless. A couple of milestones. Ramon Fletcher moved up to 1,400 BBL points. Brandon Peel made it 50 BBL career double-doubles this weekend. That's right, 50 career double-doubles. Leicester Riders are now 10-0, their best ever start to a BBL campaign, with General Geno Crandall recording only the 5th triple-double in Leicester Riders history, joining Tack Minor, Aaron Hardy, and Neil Watson. And that's this week's busy Marriott Minute. I'm always watching.
We should call that the Marriott 5 minutes. It's a lot to unfold there, man. Jeez, that's only been 7 days. Are you sure?
Man, I had to leave some stuff out as well, but want to keep it, want to keep it short and sweet, right? We don't want people falling asleep. Guys, wake up.
Well, there's some fire in there, Firstly, congratulations to our guy, Mike Tuck. And you and I have been a former player, and I guarantee you the way he played today, he went to bed Friday night pissed at himself that he wasn't more aggressive. There was a couple of top-of-the-key shots that he passed up that he normally takes, and it was a lot. It's on TV. Todd Cawthorn is there. It's a big monkey off his back, so congratulations. Also, congratulations to my teammate, Kieran Achara. What an accomplishment. That couldn't happen to any greater guy. That guy is all about the people. Definitely the People's Champ is his nickname. But as we slide on into hot topics, we got to start with our guy, Vince McCauley. I'm just going to pass this to you. Were you surprised at the timing of this change?
Yeah. I think a lot of people were, and for my eyes, and I'm sure we're really hoping to get Coach Vince on here, by the way, and continue this conversation. But I think you were starting to see the change in London, right? The handover, you could see behind the scenes there were a few changes. We spoke to Berman at the start of the season. So there were things changing, but I genuinely thought he would get his flowers and get to end this season probably in the right manner, So even if perhaps they were thinking it's time for a change, like I think that the way in which he's conducted himself for the length of time that he's conducted himself in this league, he probably deserved more. But I, of course, don't know what's going on behind the scenes, so he may have he may have felt that it was time. That there may be some other reasons why he's had to step away at this time. So we're just surmising. But for me, a man of his stature, I would have liked to have seen this be done in the off-season if this was the direction for the new London Lions.
I agree 100%. I wouldn't have been shocked if this came at the end of the season, because with the resources London now have, they can go out and get a top-notch coach on the continent. And it's not like he's done a bad job. I mean, they made history in Europe. What else do you want? They're in the second round. I mean, maybe they should win that game in Russia. Maybe they should win that game in what was the second game they played? Was it not Denmark?
Yeah, it was. Back in Bears?
Yeah, back in, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they've made history, so job done. It doesn't matter how you get it done. You just got to get it done. So, in the league, they dropped a game to Newcastle Eagles and they dropped a game to Surrey, which, is unexcusable. But they've only played 5 league games. I could see if they played, 13, 14, they lost 3 or 4 games, but it was such a small sample size. So I'm with you that I'm thinking maybe there's something else that went on behind closed doors for this decision to be made so abruptly. But it's unfortunate. I mean, I've been an advocate of Vince getting his opportunity for all the work he's done. But this just tells me one thing, that the British Basketball League is moving in a totally different direction. This is a new era. With the investment coming to the league, there is accountability on players and coaches. In the past, coaching hires have been done out of convenience, right? Now with teams starting to get a little bit more funding, it raises the stakes for everyone involved. So, this is the direction that you want. Everyone wants to make more money. Well, with more money comes responsibility. So, it's a good thing, in my opinion. Not a good thing for Vince. Don't get that confused. I'm talking about a good thing that the league is moving towards, trajectorying towards a real professional league, not a mom and pops league. So, but yeah, sad to see him go. But hopefully we can get him on here, because we would like to give him his flowers. He was our first guest here on the BBL show. So much love to Coach Vince. But we transition to Glasgow. Glasgow announces the signing of Vance Johnson shortly before the tip to Bristol Saturday night, and had Twitter on fire. Our guy Anthony Rowe tweeted out that there needs to be something in place where there's more transparency when it comes to signings. And I've always been an advocate about being transparent about injuries. But Jay, do you have an issue with teams being secretive about new signings and injuries?
Okay, I'm going to be the biggest hypocrite in BBL basketball right now, okay? The reason why I'm going to be a hypocrite is I have done this before, but not through my choice, okay? It was the organization wanted to be pretty clever, so we did this before we played an unbeaten Worcester Wolves at home. We had released Andreas Schreiber. They had just picked him up, so there was this big story, a lot of hoo-ha. And it's kind of how me and Zaire Taylor first sort of met each other, and it was a little bit chippy on the old socials at me, until we actually realized we're pretty good friends, and we signed Massey Dumbe from Cheshire, and had him in for a week and kept the whole thing a secret and announced it the Saturday morning before the game, which we won, by the way, but I'm not sure that it was really down to that. But I'm going to be a hypocrite because I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Agreed.
Let's just go back to what we just had a
It's
conversation
dumb.
about is, this Miami group has come in here to be professional and raise the bar, and we have to be looking at it. This is the thing for me. You have to look at who's doing it well, So like, let's look at the NBA. Let's look at what they're doing. Let's look at how they put their announcements out. Let's look at how the internal media do things, and just be better. Because, guys, it might be that, like, that just naughty little moment that you feel like you've got one little thing over a coach, but it really isn't. It's not that. And I just think I just think it's dumb. I really do. I think, if you've got injuries, just speak out your injuries. If you've got new sign-ins, speak out your new sign-ins. Just get it out there. Just be professional. Let everybody prepare. And that's the beauty of, like, the NBA and college basketball and stuff like that. You can see who the best coaches are because they're allowed to prepare. They're allowed to do their job. I think the fans and everybody else, like, I just don't think they get anything from that. And I might be wrong. People might chirp up on social media and say to me, like, I really love the whole, like, anticipation of who it's going to be and stuff like that. But you can do it. You can still have all that without having to mess with a game schedule. So I hate it, but I'm the biggest hypocrite in the BBL because I have done it, but I wasn't a fan of it.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, it doesn't make a difference. Obviously, Glasgow losing by 20 plus to Bristol Saturday night,
Backfire.
and yeah, it backfired. And we have to build up these players, and instead of, say, for example, maybe they announce him, Saturday morning, we spend all day on the socials finding clips, talking about him, trying to figure out who he is, having conversation, and showing the best version of himself, of what's already out there. Instead, there's nothing on him. He plays in a game, has a terrible game, more fouls than points, I believe. And now there's no conversation about him. Now the hype is done. You can't hype him up now because people's going to be like, well, he didn't do anything. So it's just, I mean, let's just be more transparent. I've
Imports
been saying
curse,
this about
right?
what's that?
The imports curse, isn't it? The fouls.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for me, I talk about injuries all the time, and Cheshire does a great job of it. I remember early in the season when Mike Ocherobio went out, they announced exactly what it was, how the timetable, and I was like, wow, you don't see that often. And we need to get to that because I don't understand. What are we hiding? We talked about that when we started this show. Let's pull the curtains back behind these clubs in the league and let's put ourselves out there. Fans want to know. They want to get behind the scenes. And so just, give us that information. It's not going to make that big of a difference, right? So I'm on the same page with you. But moving on, last thing in Hot Topics, we got the Cup final rolling in on Sunday. And so the Leicester Riders go into the game on a 2-game winning streak off the back of a Geno Crandall triple dub. But the Manchester Giants, on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, goes in on a 2-game losing streak. So, Jay, how much do you think this losing streak will affect Manchester going into this final? Does it make a difference?
I think it will make a difference. It's a weird one. Like, it's not one that we necessarily saw come in. So that I was more expecting this dip sooner, and then when it didn't come, I was kind of like, wow, this team are really, really well put together. I think what shocks me is the Patriots' loss. That really shocks me. I think that. I don't want to do the Patriots any kind of disrespect, but I think you have to play far below your level to lose that game in terms of the position they are in the league, the way that they've been playing, making a final. So I don't know. Something's not quite right there, but I do think a final is just so completely different. So I think going into that final, you don't necessarily have to take that baggage with you. You can kind of park the bus, and it's all about the performance on the day. And that's where I like the people that are in the locker room. So I like the Dan Clarks that are in there, and they've been there and they've done it before, and they'll know how to handle the occasion. Jamal Anderson will be another one of those players that will be able to talk about that and manage the occasion. So I'm not sure it will affect them, but it definitely surprised me to see them have this little dip just before the finals. I thought they would keep that high going.
Well, I disagree about the Patriots' loss. That doesn't really surprise me. The Patriots are riding a little bit of a wave, and Manchester, they're still quite young when you look at their roster, and you know how it is. You look at a team that hasn't won much, and they beat Surrey on Sky Sports, and they're thinking that's probably fool's gold, and so it's a banana peel, and there's plenty of them lying ahead in the British Basketball League, so it doesn't surprise me. And then when I actually look at their record, the Manchester Giants are 7-5 in the league, which tells me they're just a slightly above average team, really inconsistent. You look at their team, you look at the names, and it just feels like they should be better. But, at the end of the day, they're almost a 500 ball club. So, to answer the question, does it make a difference in the finals? Playing in 7 cup finals myself, I don't think it makes any difference because it's a one-off. If it was the NBA style where you're playing a series, then definitely. But because it's a one-off, all bets are off. Previous form doesn't mean anything on this occasion. I mean, it's just like a half-court shot, Jay. Like if I said to you, if you make this half-court shot, you win $20K. Does it matter what you did last week when you were practicing a half-court shot? Like, it did not. Like when I put this ball in your hand, you either make it and you run around the court screaming your head off, or you miss it and you're like, dang, I lost out on $20K. So it's a one-off. So it doesn't matter going into this game, in my opinion. But I think it's going to be really intriguing, and looking forward to getting the Geno in here to kind of pick his brain about it. But before we bring him in here, quickly moving on to buy or sell, are you buying the Manchester Giants shocking and upsetting the Leicester Riders?
Tough question. I'm really intrigued to see this matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys match up. And there are a number of Giants that could, in a one-off setting, turn it on and they could beat the Riders. But I just think I got to sell. I just don't see the upset. I think that the Riders are a better team this year than they were last year. I think they found some of the pieces that they were missing. I think that Geno himself has gone up another level in play, in maturity, in leadership, and they're just playing unbelievable basketball right now. So I think that they've got enough pieces that have been there and seen it before, as well as some new pieces that I think are going to, like a Loving, for example, and stuff like that you could really see coming to the party. I think the Giants have their hands full, but could they beat them? Yeah, of course. Like they're not dead in the water by any stretch of the imagination. But like you said, the inconsistency, I think we'll probably see that in the final is, some veteran leadership from the Giants, but also some inconsistent young plays. Armstrong's a guy that could easily be the MVP, or he could be one of those guys that doesn't necessarily show up. I remember when the Raiders faced the Eagles, and it was all talk around Jeremy Bell, and it didn't quite work out. And there was a lot of talk around Paul Williams, and it didn't necessarily work out. So they've got the pieces, but I think Leicester Riders get the job done.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll just say I wouldn't be surprised if Giants won. But the interesting thing for me, and I'm just going off the top of my head, usually in these finals, it's always experience that plays a part. But you look at both of these teams, Connor Washington, Jamel Anderson, and Will Saunders, and I'm not sure about Nelson Henry, are the only players that's played in a final before. Like, a lot of inexperience going into this game. So that's why I think anything can happen. So really, really looking forward to this. And to finish off the buy or sell, are you buying General Geno winning the MVP of the 2022 Cup?
Now I'm gonna sell. I don't think he does win the MVP of this cup, because I think he's winning the cup. I think he's come there to win, and I think that in order to do that, I would be shocked and appalled if the Giants have not got some sort of way to try and slow his influence. And by doing that, I honestly think that somebody else will come to the party, as we've seen Whelan, as we've seen Loving. As I'm sure we'll see the bigs, so you got Mo Walker, you got Darian Nelson-Henry. I just think it will come from somebody else. I still think he's going to have a great game, but I'd be surprised if the Giants are not just trying to figure out how they can limit his influence, limit his touches, and almost force him into to go into old Geno, trying to get him to do too much. And I just don't think he's gonna bite on all that.
Well, we shall see, my man.
You ducking that one?
Hey, I'm asking the questions here. I am ducking.
The leading question is left on the table. I understand. Okay. Player of the week. Okay, let's get this done very, very quickly before we move into our Alaska look back. We have Brandon Peel with 18 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists for a 28 index, joined by his teammate as a little one-upmanship, Ramon Fletcher, 32 points, 12 assists, and 4 rebounds. Is that right? Yes.
Yep.
I'm confusing myself now. For a 37 index. And then finishing off with the general himself, Geno Crandall, with a triple-double of 13 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists for a 28 index. And as we have done before with Kofi Josephs, you must give a shout-out to Tyreek Armstrong for his 40-point performance for the Manchester Giants in a loss. And Mr. Lasker, to get into the player of the week, you must what?
All we do is win, 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 no matter what. Sorry, Tyreek.
So those are your 3 on the board. We have got Brandon Peel, Ramon Fletcher, and General Geno Crandall. Get your votes in on the Twitter. And as Mr. Lasker says, the Instagrams count. Over to you, sir.
Well, guys, let's get right into the Lasker Look Back. In this episode of the Lasker Look Back, it's the road to the 2022 Cup Finals. Last year around this time, I was gearing up for my 7th BBL Cup appearance, prepping to face the Goliath of the league, the London Lions. Well, we thought, only to discover on the eve of the great event, COVID knocked out a few of those players, and all of a sudden, the Lions look human. Through the amazing efforts of Ramon Fletcher and MVP Justin Gordon, we were able to upset the London in front of an empty crowd at the makeshift final at the Morningside Arena. A year later, COVID is still prevalent and even birthed a few kids named Omicron and Delta. However, the difference, 2 monkeys don't stop no show. As the finals moves back to Birmingham in front of a record cup final crowd of more than 10,000. The league heavy hitters, Leicester Riders, returning to the big event since 2016. And the rebirthed Manchester Giants returning to the showcase final 20 years later. Top movie then? Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And that is your Alaska Look Back.
Great look back, Mr. Alaska. Let's get him in the room. You know him. He is the General, the Jedi, the current MVP, yet to be taken off. And could he go on to be a doubles MVP? Leicester Riders, Geno Crandall. Welcome back to the show, Geno. How you doing, buddy? I haven't seen you since our live show. Probably the best show in the BBL show history, right, Drew? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been a while, man. Welcome back. And for our listeners out there, this is how professional this guy is. He's sitting in a chair, just getting home after putting up a trip dub. You know what I mean? That's
Giving us
professionalism
a bit
right
of
there.
time.
Welcome back, man.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
No, awesome to have you back, mate. Listen, we're going to get into a few things, but first, let's do a little, for new listeners, let's do a little get to know Geno with a few questions. Drew Lasker, you can begin.
All right, quick fire questions, my man. What's your favorite shoe to hoop in?
Ooh, Kyrie's, any of them, all 7 or 8.
Good answer. Favorite shoe for off the court?
Oh man, that was a lot more tough. Uh, Probably Dunks, Nike Dunks.
I believe your teammate, did he say Air Force Ones, whites? Is that what Mark said? Mark Levin? Is that what he said, Jake?
Probably.
Mark Levin?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I
That
think.
feel
he
that
said
feels like
Crystal
Mark
Whites. He
Speed for
definitely did,
sure.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
feels like Mark Speed.
Favorite all-time athlete?
Favorite all-time athlete besides myself. Probably Kyrie Irving. Hard to stray outside of the basketball lane, so I'll just say Kyrie's my favorite player to watch at least.
Okay, like it. Favorite meal?
Steak. Anything can be on the side as long as I get a good steak.
And I give you credit, man. I see you've been working on your cooking skills. I've been checking you out on IG, man. You're growing,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. I got to learn how to bring something to the table as an adult, man.
Facts. All right, favorite movie genre.
Oh, favorite movie genre. Probably superhero movies.
Like it.
Mm,
So favorite
Jay would
actor
love
or
that.
actress? Oh yeah, I'm all over that.
Favorite actor, Denzel. Denzel. We got to get him in a superhero movie, but Denzel definitely my favorite actor.
I'm right with you, my man. Favorite musician.
Favorite musician, Jay-Z.
Love it. Favorite holiday movie?
Favorite holiday
Yep.
movie.
Any holiday. You can pick any.
Any holiday. It's probably a toss-up between National Lampoon Christmas Vacation, because obviously Christmas movie, and then Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. You know, I get Halloween and Christmas, my two favorite holidays, so I kind of get the best of both worlds with that one.
Nice, like that.
Favorite travel destination.
Oh, that one's tough. Favorite travel destination. I've been to Hawaii twice, both for basketball, and I've enjoyed those. So if I'm ever able to go on my own free time, I feel like I would enjoy that a lot.
Great place to choose, that's for sure. I spent some time in Laie. I was there for about 6 months, so I
Yeah.
almost went to school out there. Beautiful place. Lastly, for those of you that don't already know you, which I struggle to believe if they're listening to this show, plug your social medias. Where can we find you at the most? Where are you chatting? Where can we learn the most about you?
The most definitely Twitter. So my Twitter is just at Geno Crandall. And I would say that it's probably like, I mean, I favorite the most. I'm on Twitter the most. I enjoy scrolling through my feed. I enjoy keeping up with what's going on. I enjoy the humor that's on Twitter. I feel like my feed's a lot of humorous stuff and a lot of basketball related stuff. So that's probably where I spend the most time. And then as far as like things that I tweet, I feel like more than any other like social media, I give the most like little small glimpses into like things that I think about, which are never of any importance. They just matter to me. You're
That's
not
the
gonna
great
find
thing
any like
about
big
Twitter.
philosophical debates or nothing, but I'll throw you like a little tidbit about a movie I'm watching.
Like that.
Awesome. Well, let's get into it, man. Obviously, you're the lead man for the Leicester Riders, but just talk to our listeners out there. What exactly does being a point guard mean to you?
Yeah, so for me, I've been a point guard my whole life. You know, I was smaller than everybody growing up, so you naturally kind of are put into that role. And it's always to me, it's meant responsibility. I think if I had to, you know, kind of try and sum it up into one word, which you can be asked to do a lot, a bit of a cliche, but I would say responsibility. You're responsible for initiating the offense most times. I think there might be a shift in that as of late. You have guys like Jokic in the NBA who are offense initiators, and Giannis and these guys, and LeBron who aren't traditionally point guards, but I think historically, that's been your role to initiate the offense. You're often looked at as like a coach on the floor. So you have to be a good communicator. And I think for me, the most important thing with this group this year, with last year, and kind of something I've tried to pride myself on, and it's been, I've had to work at it, but it's just kind of being a guy that can steady the ship, no matter what's going on, whether things are going good or bad, trying not to get too high, trying not to get too low, and just being somebody that the rest of your team can count on, I think would be the biggest thing for a point guard. You're not allowed to have too many off nights because you're involved in so many different things. For some wings, as a wing, you might be a 3-and-D guy, you might just be a scorer, so you can have an off night because one of those things cannot be going your way. But as a point guard, I think you have so much responsibility that even if the ball's not going in the hoop for you scoring wise, you have to find a way to contribute in the multitude of other things that you're asked to do.
Yeah. So kind of, I just want to work into that. I want to go a little bit deeper into that because for fans, especially like younger fans and stuff like that, we're always talking about like the summer, right, is where you're going to go walk away and you're going to grow, right? That's kind of the idea. You're going to set your plans, you're going to think about your weaknesses, or you're going to think about things you want to add. And you were talking there really like a lot of your conversation there is coming back the second year mentally like stronger and able to be more consistent. Like how do you prepare for that going away in the summer, because like you want to get better at shooting, you shoot the ball more. You want to get better at ball handling, you do more ball handling. But in terms of the mental aspect, which I think is far below talked about in any kind of podcast sphere when you speak to a player, how do you go about mentally growing to come back to this Leicester Riders team better?
Yeah, I think like you said, like the physical things are the ones that are almost easy to work at. It's easy to say I want to get better at shooting. I'm gonna go in the gym and shoot 100 jump shots a day. Make 100 makes, whatever. It's easy to say I want to get better at ball handling, so I'm gonna go dribble the ball. But like you said, it might not be talked about as much. And I think for me, in terms of when I want to get better at things mentally, it's the same way you would have a trainer work you out on the court. I think I have people, in my circle, people that I count on, people that I rely on, people that I trust, that I'm able to bounce off, mental workouts in a sense. I'm able to have conversations with old coaches and say, hey, here's what my numbers were. Here's some film. Here's what I'm doing on the court. Here's my mindset in these situations. Like, what do you think about that? Where can I improve? And I watch a ton of basketball. And one thing I think I did have gotten a lot of better at, especially as of late, is just not letting any exterior factors really affect what I have going on. So I think last year, I don't know if there's a stat out there, but I probably led the league in technical fouls. One thing that really got to me, I don't like, getting fouled and it not being called. And then on one end, you do something similar and it does get called or whatever. And I would get caught up in that game. So now I'm playing one game on the court and I'm playing another game with the officials, and you're spreading yourself thin in that way, where if I just focus all of my energy on what I can actually control on the court. So that's been one area I feel like I've stepped up a lot. And the guys on the team have talked about it, and Rob's talked about it, how I'm managing that better, and not getting down on myself for anything else. I mean, I think it's just like working on skill stuff. Is you got to have a way to exercise the mental aspect of it, and I think my way of doing that is watching more basketball, trying to understand more basketball, and then having people that I trust that, I can bounce ideas off of. And Rob's a big part of that as well, because, mentally I can bounce a ton of stuff off of him. Here's what I see. Here's what I think we can do to be successful. Here's, this and that. So he was a big help to me throughout the summer. And then again, just the people that are in my circle that I'm tight with that, I trust basketball wise and I trust leadership wise.
It's interesting listening to you because there's one word that really stood out to me just a couple of minutes and having you on, and that's you using the word mental a lot. And it reminds me, Jay, of our interview we had with J.C. Hillsman in the offseason. And we asked him, how are you preparing for this upcoming season? And, usually guys like, I'm getting in the gym working on my shot or working on my handles. And he was like, I'm working on my mental, working on my mindset. Because he was like, basically, if my mental health isn't strong, then it doesn't matter how good of a basketball player I am physically. So, and then also you talk about that mental approach. Obviously, being a point guard, you're 9 times out of 10 looked upon as the leader of the team. I can't remember being on a team where the point guard wasn't the leader. So guys are always looking towards you. So it's interesting to hear you say how you're working on trying to stay off the refs more. But talk about your leadership style. What type of leader are you? Are you one of these guys who are very vocal, or are you just a guy that just leads by doing and lead by example?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. You know, interestingly enough, once I finished my undergrad studies and was able to move on to my master's, my post grad degree is actually in organizational leadership. You know, and I was doing this at Gonzaga, where I was a first year player coming in, but again, still a point guard, so still a guy that people are looking at to lead. And you know, I'm studying leadership at this point. Like, it wasn't just something, you know, I don't think it's talked about a ton, leadership. I think some people are just kind of thrown into that role. So to have it be something that I was actively learning about, I think changed a lot of my leadership style, to where for me now, I'm a vocal guy. Like, I'm a vocal leader. You know, I'm able to say, hey, this is what they're running. Let's get into this. Let's be better at this today, guys. Going into practice or training, you know, let's have a focus on this today. Um, but I think there are guys that can get caught up in being a vocal leader that sometimes they don't do what they're telling other people to do. And so for
Mm.
me, a big part of my kind of transformation of my leadership style has been also being a guy that, while I can, you know, communicate all those things, is a guy that wants to lead from the front by doing those things as well. So, you know, if I'm going to tell somebody, hey, you know, it's 3-point game, 2 minutes left, we need to stop, and I'm not out there busting my tail, picking up 94 feet trying to get a stop, then those four guys behind me, you know, might not be as you know, gung ho to follow me into that battle, you know. And so I think for me, and my leadership style is that it's constantly evolving with personnel that I have, you know, at my disposal, but also with things that I'm learning as I go. So I would say leadership is kind of one of the more fun parts of basketball for me.
Love that. Love that. Um, a question that pops into my head, and it's something that I've seen or definitely had conversations about quite a lot going into this season. You were the MVP last year, MVP of the league. You won the league, which is you know, one of the tougher trophies to get your hands on, just because it's longevity, right? You were consistently the best for the whole season. Why'd you come back? Stock's never going to be higher, right? Of course, we're delighted that you've come back. You know, for me, I knew it was going to be great for the league. But for you personally, what was your driving motivation to come back?
Yeah, you know, I felt like we had a solid core group coming back. Um, so that played a part in it. I thought it would be easy to, you know, play with those guys again, to integrate any new people that we brought on. I love playing for Coach Rob. He's, you know, I probably had maybe 3, 4 coaches in my lifetime that I would consider like great coaches, you know, top to bottom, guys you want to play for, guys that know the game, guys that help not only allow you to grow, but help you grow. So I think he checked all those boxes for me. I felt like we had stuff left to prove. I felt like I personally had stuff left to prove. You know, I know the MVP race was close last year. You know, and maybe I heard rumblings at times that, you know, this person should have got it or that person should have got it. So I felt like I had something to prove that, hey, that, you know, that wasn't even my best shot. And I felt like we had something to prove as a team, you know, in only winning the league, not being able to get the cup, trophy, playoff final, any of that. And then the last thing, I don't know how much I should be saying this or I'm allowed to be saying this, but there was a pitch to me about going into Europe. And that was big to me because obviously I feel like that's helpful for me to grow myself as a player. And, you know, again, like stock, as you said, if I can do all the things I'm doing against European competition, you know, the next opportunity, next contract, you know, could be whatever. But I also wanted to do that with a team that took a chance on me last season, brought me in late, gave me the keys to the car and said, hey, do your thing. So there was a lot of factors to it. And ultimately, I'm happy with the decision I made. I love being here. It's a great country to play in, great people, great team to be a part of. And, you know, I'm sure any guys that have played in Europe will say the same thing. It's nothing lifestyle wise compared to being in England. This is just, you know, where you want to be if you want to be happy. I think my first year I was playing in the Czech Republic, and, you know, basketball was good and everything, I wasn't like super upset. But you kind of lose something being out there on your own and not speaking the language and not having too much, lifestyle wise that you can do. So being in this country is definitely a positive for anybody, I would say.
Well, if Europe was mentioned, it's not very far fetched. Obviously, the rest Leicester Riders played in Europe about 4 or 5 years ago now. But let's touch on that MVP because last year the race came down to you and Fletch obviously led the league in assists and scoring, which was the first time done in 30 years or so. And I think at the very last show, um, Jay and I chose you. It was hard to not choose my teammate, but one thing that we are really big on, Jay and I, is about winning. And so I thought that you got the edge by winning the league. And so that's what tipped you over. But I'm pretty sure you got social media, you got a TV. Vince McCauley comes on Sky Television during a post-game interview and says that Ramon Fletcher should have been the MVP last year. Now, my question is, you obviously were playing them 2 weeks later in the semifinals. How did that make you feel? And secondly, were there a little bit more extra motivation to get past them and get to the cup after hearing that?
Yeah, I was again like I mean it was like you said, I got TV, I got social media, I hear those things, see those things, and I, personally, like, had Fletch got the MVP, I wouldn't have been upset at all. Would have tipped my cap to him, probably would have shot him a message like, "Hey man, congrats." I think we're pretty cool. We talk all the time when we're playing each other, and I got a ton of respect for him. And to lead, the league in points and assists, there's not much more you can do offensively. To nobody would be able to argue with it. You know what I mean? But I think, like you said, I also put a value on winning, and we were just the most consistent throughout, the championship season. So if it's just the MVP of the championship, then again, hey, it is what it is. But I would definitely say it gave me some motivation. I was unfortunate to finish the season last year not very healthy, and it bothered me a lot. I think that also had a big impact on me wanting to come back to show what I can do if I'm able to go whatever the whole 8 months without any injuries. So yeah, it was definitely definitely something that I had in mind, in the back of my mind when I'm out there and just trying to prove, one, proving people wrong, but also proving myself and the people that did believe in me right.
Yeah, I love that. What before we focus on the cup final, like what has been the difference this season in playing in front of fans at the Morningside Arena? Because obviously we completely forget it was COVID year last year. You weren't able to get that experience, and we know that arena in particular, that fan base in particular, is one of the best in the league. What's it been like for you? Like, was it welcome from day one? Was it kind of weird? Did you have to kind of work through it a little bit? Was it almost like being new? How's it been with having fans back in the arena?
Yeah, no, I think it was definitely nice to have from day one. I think we grow up, sports are social. The fans play a big part in it. And we all grow up playing with fans. And all our careers up until last season, really, we've played in front of fans. So I think for myself and for a lot of guys, across the league, across the sport, probably have felt welcome to have that element of our game that was missing. And, like you said, I think the Riders fans, for the most part, get it. I think they've been blessed to be successful and to have Rob, a coach that thrives on players that get it. But I think the Riders fans get it. I mean, it's not only when there's a dunk or a block or, it's if there's a possession with 7 passes and somebody makes an extra pass to the corner for a 3, they get excited. You know what I mean? It's not just the highlight play. So I think playing in front of, that fan base has been amazing. And then even when we're on the road, I mean, our fans travel well, but also I think there's an element of respect around the league as well. I mean, the one place we haven't been a couple places, but the one place we haven't been yet is Newcastle. And I know the rivalry runs a bit deep, so I don't know if there will be as much love up there, but there's definitely been an element of respect around the league, and for myself especially, getting cheers from other teams' crowds and other fans, of other teams wanting to do pictures or just have a word or whatever. So it's definitely been a part of our game that I think has been sorely missed by everybody.
Yeah, no, you're gonna love playing up here. It won't be too much cheers for you, but from a basketball perspective, like you love that, right? Like who
Yeah,
doesn't like
absolutely.
going on a road and everybody cheering against you? And you mentioned about, hearing that from Vince and being motivated. Like I always say to people, like I truly believe that everybody who's gotten this far to the British Basketball League got here because someone said that they couldn't. Like we are motivated by the naysayers, right? So you need that. But let's move along. Cup final approaching Sunday. Obviously, you guys can focus solely on that now that you got Chester out the way. Manchester Giants your first time playing these guys. But Jay and I was talking at Hot Topics about you guys have won two in a row, and they are coming to the game on a two-game losing streak. How much do you think current form plays into a one-off championship game?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Obviously there's different aspects to both sides. You could say these guys have won two in a row. They're at the top of the table in the league. Maybe they're coming in too comfortable. And conversely, you could say, all right, these guys have lost two in a row. They're hungrier. Or you could say they've lost two in a row. If they get down early, maybe they start to doubt themselves. They start to think about the last two games. So there's a lot of ways that can factor in. It really just depends on which club handles the expectation better, I would say. Because even though they've lost two in a row, I think there's still a lot of expectation that that's a good basketball team. They're going to play well. But also, again, like within their own club, within their own ranks, maybe there's the expectation that, hey, all right, we're down. We've been down this road the past two games. What's going to happen. So I think the past performances are big, but like you said, it's a one-off. Anything can happen. All you need is the right mix of whatever stuff you got going on for that 40 minutes.
Are you guys, when you look at this game, there's no way of wrapping it up. Even though as good as this Manchester Giants team is, you guys will be going in there as the favourites. How do you kind of handle that expectation? Do you like that, or do you prefer being the underdog? Are you guys, when you're looking at this final, are you welcoming that pressure of knowing that you should go and win this?
Yeah, I've never thought to look at it too much one way or the other. I think we're all basketball players. You've probably been on both sides of the coin at some point. So I think the further along you get in your careers, you just stop thinking about it too much, and there is no we're the favorite, they're the favorite. There just is that one game, and you got to come out and perform. And I think we have the group that's going to have that right approach to it, that right mentality. I know we're going to prepare our butts off this week. Rob and Pablo are going to make sure that we're ready to go on Sunday. There's not going to be anything that they do that we're not ready for. They got the whole week to prepare. There's probably not going to be anything we do that they're not ready for or not expecting. So, it's probably going to be a strength versus strength situation, and you just come out, and whoever can do their thing the best, whoever can do their job the best, is probably the one that's going to be hoisting the trophy after the game.
And I think this matchup is unique because it's not like there's one key matchups. There's so many matchups in this game. You know what I mean? We could talk about strength of bench. We could talk about the shooting guard position, the bigs, finesse with Dan Clark as opposed to Mo Walker's strength inside. But obviously, with yourself, you're going up against Tyreek Armstrong, who just gave Newcastle a 40-piece here on Friday night. You haven't faced him, but I'm sure you've seen him in action a couple of times. What's your thoughts on this game so far?
Yeah, I think he's a great addition for the league. I think he's a great addition for Manchester. Exciting player. He's lightning quick, gritty. I'm not mistaken. I think he's from the East Coast, maybe like New York or something out there. Gritty guards.
No, H-Town, H-Town, baby,
Oh
Houston.
man, really? Damn, I'm tripping.
Yeah.
Edit that out. But well, shit. Same thing down south, man. Those guys are great. They're athletic. You know what I mean? You Texas guys, man. You know how to play ball. But yeah, no, I mean, I think he's skilled. Obviously he's a left-handed guy who's a little bit left-hand dominant, but you stick to your strengths if they're working. So it's not a knock on him in any way. Talented scorer, great passer. I think I've seen him a couple times. He makes the right reads a lot. Is able to get other guys involved. And then gritty on defense, tough. I know he's had a couple games where he's in passing lanes, picking guys up full court, taking the ball off of them. So it'll be an intriguing matchup that I'm looking forward to. I think I've got a size advantage on him, but I think he might make that up in speed, quickness, and all of that. So it is what it is. If he's going to be one of the best guards in the league, and I want to claim myself to be the best, then you want to play against the other guys who are supposed to be the best.
Yeah, I think this is a really exciting matchup for so many reasons. As Drew's saying, is there's there's so many matchups, but also the storylines. Obviously, you'll be going up against Jamal Anderson. He'll be returning against you guys, and of course he'll want to be having a good show in there. You've obviously got the Whelan brothers. We had the opportunity to sit down with them, and they've just been great, But and they've got kind of a fun rivalry about it as well, which I think will be really, really good. So yeah, there's so many storylines here, but that make this cup final really intriguing, just because you guys haven't faced off yet. Like you said, talking about Armstrong, I do think it's going to be two contrasting styles, although I think that you both show that great leadership out there on the floor. So yeah, I'm definitely excited, Geno. We're really glad you could spend that time with us, and hey, here's looking forward to, hopefully we can catch up later on, maybe next week. Give us a show of the shiny stuff, hopefully, right?
Some quick reactions. Yeah, some quick reactions. Yeah, no, man, appreciate your time tonight. Obviously, just coming off a road game, but get some rest, get that preparation in, and we will see you in Birmingham, which looks like it's a sold-out arena and a pumping crowd. It's by far my favorite event. I hated that it was in Leicester last year. Obviously just because of COVID, but I love going to Birmingham. It's just something about this event. You're going to love it. So good luck to you, man.
Yeah, thank you guys, and thanks for having me on again.
Well, good luck, brother. See you soon.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, guys, another episode in the bag as we hurtle towards our first cup final being held back in Birmingham. We're really looking forward to that. But catching up with the General, the Jedi, the MVP, Geno Crandall. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I definitely like picking his brain. As Mr. Lasker just said, we could sit there all night just sort of throwing questions at him and seeing what direction he would go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. We will see you next week. Over to you, Drew.
Yeah, great guest as always, and we will see you guys in Birmingham on Sunday. So if you can't be there physically, make sure you get those TVs tuned in, beginning at 12 o'clock for the WBBL final, London versus the Newcastle Eagles. And then the guys follow up at 3 o'clock, Leicester Riders versus Manchester Giants. It's going to be a great day. So we will see you there. But until then, same place, same time here on the show.
Show.